Cord. All right, welcome, guys. It's been a couple of weeks since I've been with you. I've been traveling, and this is the best my voice has been in the last week, believe it or not. It's just been, I don't know, I picked up something on the way, and it went from the left side a couple of days ago to now it's on the right side. Doc, maybe you can tell what I'm dealing with, but it's a bit better. I didn't have a voice at all, actually. I woke up on Thursday morning with like no voice.
There's a virus going around our town, and everybody I talk to has had it or has it, and it's lasting about 3 weeks.
Oh, goodness. Okay. Well, I still have some travel. I'm in Montreal tomorrow, and this weekend I'm in Penticton, British Columbia, and White Rock, BC. So if you've got some folks out there, looks pretty exciting. I know many of you have been anxious to hear a little bit more about the social media approach to our business. And in order to facilitate that, Maggie, I'm thankful that you're on tonight. Maybe you can come on visual for us and bring some attention to this matter, because what we did was we asked someone to participate in sharing their insights. This is a person who's a social media expert in developing, programming, advertising, and marketing via social media. And they were able to give us some coaching on one of our sessions about a week or so ago. And then Maggie volunteered to be our template, our sort of our guinea pig experiment on how this might apply, especially because I'm going to be in White Rock for an event that we could promote as a standalone event, because it's going to be a presentation that I'm more familiar with doing in the law of attraction. But she put together something, and I have it on my phone to share with you, so you can kind of get a glimpse of what it looks like. And then she can tell you a little bit about what the design and what's going on with this. So this is the actual ad as it's being run on social media. So you'll see some imagery there. There's like money, stacks of money, coins, and green. So it looks like whatever this is probably good for the planet, and it's growing. And then if you read down below, it's discover, and it says the business that is revolutionizing the world, and the key concept, which is people, planet, profit. That's that triple bottom line concept that we talked about. And then it simply promotes the event. If you're looking for a way to improve your income and your quality of life, you cannot miss this opportunity to learn from our world-renowned entrepreneur and speaker, Michael DiMuccio, on December 2nd. So it's specific to an event. Click on the link below. Anyway, the link below, which is bonus 2020 point or dot eventbrite.ca, that'll drive you to a registration page where you can actually register and read a little bit more about what the event is, and then register for the event. So that would be a typical scenario. So you would actually present that image on a Facebook ad if you had a thing called a fan page. And then people could click on the link, and it would drive over to your lead capture page, which in this case is an actual registration page for the event. That would not only capture the lead, but take the registration for the event. And I'm not sure how much the ticket is. Maggie, how much is the ticket?
$25. There's a bit of a fee from Eventbrite, so I charge $24, and then it turns out to be 25 something.
Okay, so it's a nominal fee for Eventbrite to facilitate that. All right, so this event ran Sunday for the first time, correct?
Saturday.
Saturday for the first time, okay. And just to give everybody an idea, what does it mean to run such an ad on Facebook?
What does it mean? It means that you decide what you're going to invest in terms of boosting that post. So I chose, suggested by Kyle, our social media guy that we worked with, he suggested what they call a lifetime investment rather than a daily investment.
Okay.
So I invested $75, which is modest, to run it for a week. And you know, on Sunday I had 3 registrations, and haven't had any since then from that boost. I've had it from, you know, people registering for the event, but not with that particular boost. So
how are you able to monitor if it comes in from the ad?
I don't really have any way to do that other than I recognize other registrations. For instance, Mary Ellen has a gal that registered, and I emailed Mary Ellen. I said, "Is this your gal?" And she said yes. And other consultants, I know their names, so that's good.
Okay, so the earliest findings are potentially 3 people attending an event that they paid for. So it's not even a free event,
Yeah.
which is in itself quite a filter process if you consider that.
Right.
Well, that's great.
Text, Michael, that text was I just directly translated it from the one that they used in Panama.
Yes. So
wherever it was.
So this is the newest. So we're just getting our feet wet with this idea, because it's important that if we find that we're able to get traction on this, you can see where this could lead, where all of us could on a regular basis be campaigning, whether it's a product promotion or a business event promotion. And so that turns you guys into people who are able to then expand your reach beyond the traditional networking approach, which is the $1 million list. Now you might say, okay, so how's that duplicatable? Well, I personally believe that everyone should get started in their 90-day cycle, their 90-day business venture, with very hands-on approach. A very hands-on approach would mean their contact list, the contact and invite approach that we discuss in our videos, our trainings, and then some experience from that working with their A, out of which comes an experience. Not only does a result get produced, but an actual experience gets produced. And I think that experience then gives them the courage or the confidence to be able to address a wider audience of people going beyond their immediate influence. So I still think that people shouldn't be looking at approaching the social media scenario until they've had sufficient experience with learning how to process a person, a funnel system, if you will, because essentially all it is a funnel. You may gain a lead, but then if you don't know what to do with that lead because you're ill-equipped or ill-experienced, then that's just a waste of time and money for everybody. So it's important that people get their feet wet, familiar with our traditional system, and then they incorporate social media as an add-on, especially as we go forward and start looking at how to do this from the product level. There's some really excellent examples of social media, Facebook fan pages. On an example I would give you is Angela Cadavid, C-A-D-A-V-I-D, Cadavid. She has a great fan page that I really like looking at her stuff. She was the one who had that viral video with over 2 million hits of doing the pH test on the water. If you remember, long hair, pretty girl from Colombia. So we're getting our experience from all angles right now, bringing to you some ideas that maybe you should start experimenting with yourself. If you haven't set up a fan page, you might want to do that sooner than later, because I suspect by January we'll be in full implementation, and that'll include social media things that you can actually use on your pages. We have a pipeline into that. That's from Latin America. And my project when I return from this trip will be to review the data, the content, and see what is relevant for us. I also want to mention that this idea of bringing a Latino flavor to our North American experience seems to be gaining some traction. Apparently we have a new silver in Boston, a new silver in Edmonton, and quite likely by the end of today, a new gold in Victoria, BC, all of which have their sponsors in Latin America, all of whom are Latin American descent. Even though they're living in North America, they have their ties back to the home country. So this is pretty exciting news to know that. Well, I'm interested in the one that's going gold specifically because, you know, it's one thing we break a silver, but another thing we break a gold in a matter of a month or two from their launch, because now that's greater validation of the fact that they're not operating on the same belief system, if you will. They're able to, you know, rocket past any things that we may have had in our own mind as barriers for success. So this is really great news, because they're going to help us tear down some of the walls that we have in our own mind about what's possible for the business in launching somebody in their first 2 or 3 months. So that's news. So let me tell you a little bit about my trip down south, if I may, to Irvine. And I'm going to see where that extra sound is coming in from. But we had a great trip. I got to spend quite a bit of time at the home office. I had a nice dinner with our CEO, Kurt Foley. I had a lunch, a morning appointment with him in his office. I had a lunch afternoon with him, and that included Jeff Isom as well. And I can tell you there's a lot of things that we discussed, but one of the things that I'm most excited about is the future of the wellness home. Many of us had some reservations about where is the wellness home? How is that being positioned? How is that being presented? How is that being packaged? And I think what you're going to see from corporate is a very specific approach to the wellness home from a consumer's point of view, which I'm really, really excited about, because I think that was what was the original intent of the wellness home to begin with. So that information is being put together for presentation, an imminent presentation in Salt Lake City. For those of you who expect to attend Salt Lake City, expect some new information in terms of a business angle of where that wellness home fits in, to how we present Nikken, and more importantly, how we deliver an ongoing experience. That's probably the best word to use for the consumer. Many people are joining Nikken as customers, but are only experiencing the product as a one-time transaction and not an ongoing relationship with the company. And so somehow we're falling short on being able to deliver the big picture, which is the wellness home. Active wellness is the adjective. It's the idea of participating in health and well-being, but the wellness home is sort of how we translate the participation into an actual tangible thing. What can we do to better participate in our well-being? Well, we can create environments, wellness environments, whether it's at our home, our office, school, where we spend a lot of time, is converted into a wellness environment that's going to work on our body and in our body. So that's coming, and that's very, very exciting. We're also going to have an opportunity to experiment in Canada, to present the Humans Being More as a one-day workshop for the general public. In other words, if you knew nothing about Nikken, just that you were looking for an opportunity to delve into personal development with a sort of an entrepreneurial twist to it, then this is what's going to be offered. I don't know what the price is going to be, but it will be a product for the consumer. Now, I can see all kinds of benefits for that. The first and foremost would be, can you imagine a campaign where you could sell HBM to the general public? And alone, that would be a tremendous benefit for anybody who attended. But the people, obviously, who attend are going to be introduced to the concept and the foundation of the wellness home, the foundation of Nikken, the lifeblood of our business. And so that would be a great opportunity for people to sponsor, especially consultants, to sponsor a local HBM and promote and market that HBM as a standalone product, where it doesn't have to be tainted by or colored by or added to by the Nikken scenario. It's a separate thing altogether. And so now people, including people who own a wellness home, can be invited to come and learn about this foundational philosophy that can transform their lives. And then, of course, what happens at a HBM stays at HBM kind of thing. So who knows what will happen, but I'm sure it'll be a great lead generation system for those of us who decide that that's going to work. So there's going to be a little bit of a prototype template to see how it works. And the reason why Canada is the first choice is because it's the path of least resistance for Nikken based on tax laws. So it's simply an accounting measure that there's a whole reporting issue that they don't have to worry about as a result. So if it works for Canada, which means, by the way, all of you, it might be time for you to brush off that list and see how many Canadians you have on it, and start reaching out and sharing the benefit of Nikken to that market. And this will be another way to do that. So that's something that is very exciting about what we talked about. There's a bunch of other things, but I'd rather not have to share on this call, but all really, really positive, very, very optimistic. By the way, he did like the idea of a very specific Latino sponsored type approach. He's very much aware of the vibrancy and the energy coming from the South, and would love for us to be able to import that into our business here locally and start to see that experience infect us and sort of give us that new pizzazz. And by the way, the demographics coming from Latin America are the Gen X. So if we're looking to expand into a Gen X market, then you're going to want to have some people. So what I'm doing, Mike DiMuccio, personally, is I'm asking everybody I know if they know Spanish-speaking people, ages between 35 and 50, preferably women. Nothing against men, but that's what I'm looking for. And obviously, because I have our counterparts down in the South that would be more than happy to be on a conference call with us and share their insights. So can you imagine some in-homes going online that are Spanish-speaking to address, or at least bilingual, to be able to create a foundation for that new market within the market. So I suggest you do the same. I suggest you put the call out to people and say, look, I'm looking for a leader specifically in the Spanish-speaking or Latino environment to create a breakout here in North America of this particular demographic. Nikken has done a fabulous job at addressing an aging baby boom population for the last 25, 26 years. But there's a whole generation of people, in fact, 2 or 3 behind the baby boomers, who know absolutely nothing about Nikken. And there is a incredible stronghold and success story emerging out of Latin America. So we want to be able to position Nikken at this stage in North America, leveraging that success story from Latin America. So I'm looking for somebody who might be a leader in the community here, or could become a leader, who is of Spanish descent or Latino descent and would love to be part of a new movement. And so that's kind of how I'm positioning this. So that's to add to your existing repertoire, but I'm giving you sort of a heads up as to a direction that is going to be a very prominent direction in 2018. And it has the full support of corporate, both in Latin America and North America. So it's a very strong business idea. And I'm pretty sure my counterparts will be echoing that soon enough, because every good idea is worth echoing. So, hint, hint, nudge, nudge. Anyways, well, I wanted to also open this up to some questions, because a lot of the times our conversations get so busy with stuff that we don't actually get a chance to do some back and forth. So I'd like to, at this point in time, just turn the switches on and see what we can do to start moving the agenda, your agenda, forward. Some tangible, practical advice, tools, things that would help. Oh, I want to leave you just one other sort of a note. I reviewed something of a tool that I think is so cool, it's going to blow your mind and everybody else's mind. And it's a tool that allows you to have an experience of the wellness home as if you were like in virtual reality. And then you can click on items that are Nikken items already in that home, and they become real to you, and they drive to your PWP, and you'd be able to shop online, or somebody who you sent the link to would be able to actually go shopping online on your PWP. So that's something that's in review that could be quite exciting as a tool. That's just a quiet heads up for you. Anyway, any questions, guys?
Well, I have a question.
Yes, please.
If this marvelous sounding tool is going to be available and drive people to our PWP, might we not address before that a functioning PWP?
Oh, okay. Well, thanks for bringing that up, because I should have mentioned that. The one in Latin America is fully operational and fully functional.
Wow.
The one in UK for Europe will be fully operational and fully functional on January 1st. And then right after that one is the one that's going to be fully functional, fully operational for North America. And the target date for that is April. So it's a little bit of a wait, but
that's good to know,
worth
at least.
the wait. Oh, yeah.
But it's good to know. I mean, if we're sending people to our PWP and they get there and they can't do anything with it, we're better off not to send them.
Yeah. Well, it's coming. And the thing is, yeah, it's good to know, because a lot of the business plan for 2018 it revolves around this new platform. And the commitment to that platform, it's not only has been made, but they're full swing. So like I said, it's fully operational, fully functional in Latin America. UK is set to turn the switch on January 1, and for us, it's in April. So what I can tell you is the functionality, what I saw, and I saw it. I saw the front and back offices. And I can tell you, I was just absolutely blown away. It's so streamlined and so simple. There's a lot of stuff that we have that would be great if you're a technocrat. But I'm not that kind of guy. Just give me the information I need and don't present me 15 other options, because I'm not interested. Just want this, this, and this. These are the fundamentals. So they've redesigned it so that it really provides us with the information that is relevant, that is urgent, that is important. Yes, it does include Europe, all languages. And let's see, what else? And the back office tools, the PWP alone, just to be able to send somebody to your site and they can shop without jumping through hurdles and so forth, visually, graphically beautiful, that's all being done. So what I saw would blow the doors off of anything you've seen. You would be thoroughly impressed. So I'm looking forward to this just as much as the next person. And I know how important it is, and so does our CEO, in being able to implement the next phase of growth. So I'm suggesting we don't sit back and wait until that's, there. Because we have a business to build, and I'm reminded of a conversation I had with one of my people in, somebody playing some music in the background. I appreciate music, but maybe just not now. So one of my conversations with a person in Quebec was, listen, do you remember when we launched Quebec? We didn't even have French literature. So we're a lot further ahead than we were back then. So we're the same situation now. We have all the pieces that we need to be functional, to be as sexy as we'd like to be. No, but that's coming. That's imminent. And so it's really about letting us as marketers present the case for what's coming. People want to invest in something that they see a future in. And if you see a future in it, they're going to see it through your eyes, through your intonations, that there's a future here. So we are the leading face of this possibility right now.
Slightly off topic, Mike, but speaking of the future, was there any mention at all about whether they're going to keep an air unit?
Oh, goodness.
Available?
That's talking a Nikken on a level we were on the 50-foot floor, not on the...
Well, there's a reason I'm saying that. One of your downline and mine was burned out of their home in September. And it was the air unit that saved their life. They had it in the bedroom. The door was closed to the bedroom. And it suddenly cranked up into high speed, which woke them up. When they opened the door, they realized their house was on fire. Another 90 seconds and they wouldn't have made it out.
Where's that story?
I asked her to post it, to send it to Nikken.
Well, I'm just suggesting something. I'm suggesting something here, and that is that I think Nikken has always been very responsive to demand. And if there are products that are simply being questioned, it's because we haven't demonstrated the demand. And that's part our fault and part our marketing effort. But I believe with a proper campaigning of this concept of the wellness home, then, as he himself said to me, then all of a sudden you start to see where future product development can come from, because now you have a target and a target audience that's preconditioned or predispositioned to having everything and anything that could enrich their experience in that environment. So I think that the demand for the product comes as we become more efficient at our marketing of what it is that we're marketing. And what really works is stories. So when we get these stories out there, there'll be a surge. You know, for instance, if that story were to emerge, then there'll be a surge on that product. But then somebody will say, well, how come we don't have the light? Well, maybe we need to put that story out, and then there'll be a surge on that product, and the other ones will fade. So we have a really wide range and robust product line which serves a retail base. If that retail base is going to buy more than one item. The challenge that we've had, the gap that we've had, is we get 1,000 people joining Nikken every month to buy a product, but there's no second or third or fourth or fifth product. There would be more air units sold. There would be more other products sold if there was an ongoing campaign. And you and I need to recognize our role in that campaign, that we want to be able to sell people the idea of not an item, not a product, but an experience. And I'll give you an example where this wellness home concept originated. How many of you have a home entertainment system attached to your flat screen TV? How many? Just raise your hand if you got a home entertainment system attached to a flat screen TV. Quite a few of you. Okay. Some of you know, but many of you do. But if you were going to go out shopping right now for, you know, a home entertainment experience, you would not be buying components. You wouldn't go out and buy separate components. They would sit you down in front of these prepackaged concepts. And if I were buying a home theater 10 years ago, one of the items in that home theater probably would have been a VCR or maybe a DVD by that time, right? Now it's Blu-ray, and actually now it's even gone beyond that. We're doing streaming. So the configuration of the components have changed since the inception of the idea. But it's the idea that people want. They don't want the components, they want the idea. They want the home entertainment system. They want a home entertainment experience. They want that surround sound, however that shows up in today's configuration. So the wellness home concept is sell them the home entertainment experience, and then as we progress in time through the evolution of our products, the configuration will change, but the concept won't. And so if somebody wants the concept, how many of you have upgraded from a VCR to a CD, DVD player? Pretty much everybody, right? Mm-hmm. So that's what happens. As a consumer of an idea, you always upgrade. How many of you have upgraded your cell phone? How many of you have upgraded your laptop? So same concept with Nikken. There's always going to be a need to upgrade if we are sold on the wellness home experience. And that should be just as true for the consumer as it is for the consultant. And what's going to determine that is whether Nikken stays top of mind, whether there's an interest in the subject of health and well-being. And that's going to come down to whether we enroll these people, these customers, into our program of health and well-being. So I'll give you an example. We had a call on Sunday. It was a great call. And that call included a doctor that was a marvelous and remarkable testimony of a woman who is somewhat been disenfranchised from being a medical professional and has witnessed a rise in the incidence rate of problems with children, behavioral issues with children in the last decade like never before. Alarming issues with behavioral issues with children. She's a pediatric doctor. So you can imagine how concerning it is as a medical professional if you're seeing this, you're the first witness to the idea that there is a problem out there and it's growing and it's affecting our children. And so the solution, the pharmacological solution, is pump them up with drugs. dull them down, dumb them up, and so forth. And that's just not a solution. That's a Band-Aid. The solution is Nikken in so many ways, the wellness experience. And to give families and parents access to rich content where they learn about health and well-being firsthand from people who have been there, done that, is going to be great value. So I'm going to ask you to direct some of your attention in terms of your calls or your programming when you do online and invitations. Some of these calls ought to be just experiences that people can plug into on the Nikken products. And you might even suggest tonight's call is going to feature the Nikken sleep system and just feature the stories of Nikken sleep. Another call might be, we're going to feature the area wellness unit and so forth. As we look at how do I keep my consumers interested, and how do I keep going back to invite them? What am I inviting them to? I'm not going to keep inviting them to the same story. They won't come. They'll be too bored. But if I invite them to a new story, an enhancement to the one from last week or the one from last month, that it enriches their experience of what it means to be in a wellness environment, then you're going to find they go from this product to that product to that product, and now you have an ongoing flow of products into the marketplace for all those customers we're attracting into Nikken. So imagine that's our business plan going into 2018 concerning our customers. I'm telling you now, that is our business plan going into 2018 concerning our customers. So
I've asked her to send a testimonial into Nikken because she wanted to order 3 more units. They're in a rental right now while their house is being rebuilt, but it's going to take a year or more.
Wow.
And
well, Barb, as great as it is to send a testimonial into Nikken, let me tell you what actually happens. You get it censored to the point where it's the best of nothing. So the best thing we can do is put somebody live, preempt the conversation with a what do we call that when you tell somebody when you say we don't make medical claims? What do you call those things? Disclaimer. We can have disclaimers on our calls, but when somebody's live, you can't censor them. And then that experience, more importantly, the emotions that are associated as they're emoting their experience, that's the sell. That's what's going to convey the message. So emotions, I'm reminded by something Luis Kasuga says time and time again. Emotions are what drives decisions. And what we want to get better at in all of our presentations and invitations to presentations is not so much more content, but actually more emotion. Be cognizant of the emotion quotient, let's call it, and see where our previews and our events can become more enhanced on an emotional level, because that's going to drive the decision making. And so, for instance, that call we did on Sunday, I thought it was very emotional. Her perspective was very emotional as a medical professional, but feeling like this, what she's doing with Nikken is so much more of a cause that, from a professional's point of view, given tools to make a difference, when that's why she became a health professional to begin with. So those are very emotional. I talked about things that I'm relating to now that I'm experiencing about the business, the idea that people are looking for what we have. They just don't know that we have it. And the number one thing people are looking for is freedom. Freedom and flexibility. The way to take charge of their lives and have time. The freedom of time. Everybody has to work. Most people are going to have to work the rest of their life. It's not a question of whether they have to work. It's whether they enjoy what they do, whether there's enough room and flexibility in what they do that they can also do the other things that matter to them. Or is it always going to have to be at a price? Is it always going to be at a compromise of those things? That's what they're fed up with. And so what Nikken offers is people an opportunity to create an income and have the freedom and flexibility on top of that, and then to connect them to a purpose. It's that triple bottom line. Purpose, people, profit. That's what people want. That's our message for 2018. And so that's our business call. But then our consumer call ought to be something that is fresh, refreshing, and very inspirational on an emotional level. So I'm putting that out to you as you're doing your in-homes, as you're doing your one-on-ones, as you're doing your phone calls. Keep in mind, emotions are what drives the business. Logic is great, but that's not what people make decisions around. Any other questions? There is still, by the way, a month and a bit left in our 2017 incentives. If you've not yet qualified for an incentive, why don't you ring in the new year having at least qualified for one of the 2017 incentives? You and or somebody you're helping. I think it's really, really important that we validate the company, and the incentives that they put in place are so doable that the only thing preventing us from achieving them is our own belief system. Again, I remind you, we have a brand new silver in Boston, a brand new silver in Edmonton, and a soon-to-be gold, if not already confirmed today, gold in Victoria, BC. Oh, and one I think on the ropes in Chicago, all of whom have been sponsored by Latinos. Now, this reminds me of a story of a guy that I sponsored some years ago. I figured he didn't know enough, and I did, but he had a certain confidence about himself that if I could tell him he could go platinum in a month, he'd probably believe it. So that's what we did. I suggested that his goal for the month, his launch month of September, was that he achieve the rank of platinum, and he would do that by helping 6 people become silver, and he would do that. And I back-ended it. I showed him how our first meeting has to have 12 to 15 people. I made a mistake. I should have said 18 people minimum. I said 12 to 15. I learned from that mistake. But the net effect was that individual became gold. With the gold, 20 silvers, or excuse me, 11 silvers in total, and $219,008 in volume in 21 days from the start of the first order, which went in on September 7th. So that person, if they had been told that we should probably set a goal for him achieving silver, and then I back-ended that, what do you think we would have done?
Had a silver.
Probably silver, or maybe even fallen short, because you almost make it, but you don't quite make it. Can you imagine?
And that was back in the days of 20,000 for silver, wasn't it?
Yeah. The point is, people don't know any better than what you project onto them. And if it's your belief system that you're projecting into them that's slowing them down, then you're not giving them the best start you can. And our role as a sponsor, there's only one thing I promise you. I will give you the best start I can, what I know about today, based on what I know today. And so think about that. We know that a person can go silver in a week or less. We know that. We've seen it. It's being done. One of the people, by the way, was silver in, I think, 4 days. So we just saw that text on the launch partners. Was it a 4-day silver, I believe it was, or a 7-day silver or less, something like that?
5 days, I think.
Yeah, so we're seeing that. And that person, by the way, was enrolled by Carolina, who's in Colombia, who sponsored this woman in Edmonton. So they didn't know any better. If they thought it was supposed to take 90 days, what do you think their subconscious mind would have been doing? Finding ways to take 90 days. You know that we sort of tend to fill the time we allot to something. If we give ourselves 90 minutes to do something, we usually take like 95, right? Get dressed. Oh, well, good, I got an hour. An hour and 4 minutes later, you walk out the door, right? Even if you had to do it in 45 minutes, you could have, but you gave yourself an hour. So this is how we operate. This is just human nature. If we give somebody too much time, we're shorting them. We're taking away from their future because they're going to think that's what it takes and that's what they're going to duplicate. So we would be better off giving people a belief system that supports the possibility and work toward that becoming the probability and the new norm. And I think a 6,000 point silver is a very small thing if we have our understanding of what does it look like. 3 people who buy a sleep and water system. Duh. Okay, so that's what I'm looking for. 3 people are interested in sleep and water. Maybe I should then talk about sleep and water? You see what I mean? If you work backwards, maybe I should have some options as to how they can get started with sleep and water. See what I mean? So it's all in how do we approach this? And setting a new example, a new standard, I think, is something we're being asked to do. Because right now we're seeing evidence that it's doable in spite of us. So I want to make sure that we are showcasing and featuring those stories. I'm going to get that new gold on a call. I'm going to get those new silvers on a call, and you can hear from them firsthand. You can ask them. And don't be surprised if they don't know much. I wouldn't be surprised at all. They just did what they thought they had to do.
Mike, that is what we did in the beginning when we didn't know what we were doing. There's no question about it. Yeah, we forgot it or something. I don't know. So
well, I think a lot of the times we put it on them. We put it on them to learn rather than on us to initiate action. They'll learn in the action. They'll learn in the ABC. They'll learn in the activity. Any questions as we wrap up?
Thanks for the great ABC the other day. Much
You're welcome.
appreciated.
Out of that, you got a new consultant,
Well,
I believe.
Yeah, she may be executive before the end of the month. She's trying to figure out, because it has to be retail for rank advancement. She's accumulating customer orders to combine with her order, so we'll know.
Yeah, and if that's what she wants to do, she'll do it. And if you give her reason, she'll do it. So again, just a simple reminder. You've got a newbie, give them the best start possible. If it was you and somebody was starting you over again, knowing what you now know, what would you want to have done differently? Well, you have a chance to do it through them. Live vicariously through them. Hey, it's their contact list, not yours. You don't have to be worried. All right, just broken executive in Germany. Way to go, Anja.
Wow.
Fantastic. Oh, speaking of which, I was talking with Ben earlier today. It looks like there might be as many as 3 new platinums in the UK, people that he's been working with. So this has been a pretty exciting month. Like I said, this is a fantastic month for Nikken. I've got a record-breaking month volume-wise for me as well. In all of 2017, this is the biggest month yet. So very exciting. Guys, remember, that's what momentum is. It's the ongoing growing and development. So let's stay focused on the prize. Grow our business, grow our organization, but now keep in mind why we're growing it. We're growing an organization so that we can create an impact in society through our wellness home environment. We're growing an organization to build wellness homes. The more
Like
wellness homes out there, the better.
Well, I think your segue after Dr. Melanie yesterday was so excellent. You know, you really did that well. I sent you a note earlier today. Maybe you didn't get a chance to see it yet, but our old flip chart, that old original big one, the opportunity meeting or the wellness preview really included both. It was right there, and you asked the question. And I wonder if, you know, I know we have the customer piece and the product, but yesterday, to me, felt like that original flip chart where there was the products, there was the testimony, and then the close, and asking the question, where are you? Like that in the pie that we had before, what do you want after hearing all of this? And so I just wondered, you said you're going to be tweaking those, the current business. You had been to talk current about having a more integrated one. I thought that was very powerful. It's still a lot of slides because you had all of your slides and we had all of those slides. Maybe a little less, but all of it in there, because rather than just that one last slide that says, you know, where do you want to begin? And I've heard so much this past year on organic progression and, you know, start with an insole or whatever. And
well, let me ask you something. If our goal was to create wellness homes,
Mhm.
More specifically, if the economy of our business on a microcosm and the economy of Nikken's business on a macrocosm was a function of new wellness home starts, knowing that every wellness home has a beginning and no end,
Right.
then what would our close be in a presentation? What is it that we're after?
We still want to know what they want, and where would you want to begin your wellness home?
Exactly. So the assumption would be that they would at least begin their wellness home.
Yes, we invite you to begin. And where do you want to begin?
Right.
Tonight.
Exactly. So you see how the wording would change and the expectation would change, because now all of a sudden we know we did our job if after that presentation the result was the person would initiate a wellness home. They would at least step into the first stage of embracing wellness through the wellness home experience. And so now we have a wellness home start. And let's say we set a goal for 1 million wellness home starts in 2018. And we started measuring it. Every time you logged into My Nikken, you saw where we were at as a company. You saw where you were at as a business.
We did that too. Do you remember the little house? And it
Yep.
showed the percentages of filling up the house, and then you got your thing to hang on the door.
Yep. And that was because the target of that audience was a consultant and not a customer.
Well, but those consultants were customers. That's what it ended up being, 80%.
That's exactly right. But that was before we actually had customers that we could recognize as customers. So imagine taking that concept, which was a great idea, just it wasn't applied correctly, and now we're applying it correctly. It dovetails perfectly into our mission. And so now when we ask somebody how they would like to begin their wellness journey, get your wellness home started, whatever it takes, get it started. There is a start and no end. So it doesn't really matter how you start. Talk to the person who invited you out here. They might have some options for you that would fit best for you. So now you've got an assumption. The assumption is they're going to be they're going to get their wellness home started. And then of course, if we have the back end of that, which is there's a start and no end, then there's going to be an ongoing dialogue with that person. As far as the business is concerned, what's the business? The business is creating an organization that creates wellness homes.
Yeah.
And if you like it, share it. There's an opportunity. By the way, the transition point, and I'm going to end on this note, that I made in the presentation that I think you were referring to was, I talked about a $3 trillion healthcare industry.
Profound.
And
yes.
Imagine the fortunes that are being made, have been made, and are being made in the $3 trillion healthcare industry. Now, who in their right of mind wants to be a customer of the healthcare industry? Nobody. Can you imagine the fortunes that can be made in the wellness industry?
Yes.
Providing people with what it is they really want.
But that's a good way to ask it too. Can you imagine? So you're getting them to think, can you imagine? Would you like to be a part of it? And you know, that you do see the big opportunity there. That was so powerful.
Cool.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you guys are all part of that. So, you know, what we need to do is take this message and get it beyond us. Now, there's been some critiques or criticism of my approach to conversations with you guys, that there's too much internal dialogue. Well, this conversation is internal. It's designed to be, because that's what mentoring and coaching is.
And we need that.
Exactly. And so hopefully the little bit that you get on a call like tonight could inspire something in you that somehow tweaks your behavior, your comments, your energy, and that translates into a better outcome for you. So I know how important results are.
Michael, it has all year long. I think those of us that have been a part of this, we're talking differently. You know, you can practice a script, or, you know, I mean, all of this training for all of these years, it really has been interactive, where we are dialoguing here. So then pretty soon you're Paul parroting what you've heard, you know, because it does become a part of who we are in the being and becoming process.
I think it's very important that whatever it is you say, whatever script you choose, however you decide to apply it, that the person showing up with that script is a real person with genuine concern for the person in front of them. And that way, no matter what comes from that interaction, they know they met somebody who means what they say and says what they mean.
That's that trajectory of humans being more. And so when it's felt that you care, and people are saying that, but I've had a few that have said, well, I don't really want to sell anything, but you really care so much about what you do, or you're so passionate about what you do. I can feel the excitement level about that, because I think there's so much in the world today where people don't feel, there's a mistrusting about not caring. And so that is uniquely what we really have that differentiates us. So this kind of practicing it and transitioning has really been very helpful. And I don't think it's been a waste of time at all.
Well, great. I'm still cognizant of the fact that we need to put points on the scoreboard. We have a few days left in the month and a whole month left in the year. So let's do that. Let's keep this trend that started over a year ago. Let's keep it moving in the right direction. I want to see each of you come to this call with a story of your own, a new success story of your own. It's so important for all of us to be inspired by some new successes that you're generating. So thanks everybody for joining us tonight. Have a great month end, and we'll see you next week.
Thank you, Mike.
Have a good night.